and we are jumping right back into Exodus. If you haven't been here for a few weeks, they've been going through the first few chapters of Exodus. We'll be in Exodus chapter 3 this morning into 4. Not very fair. Pastor Kevin only had to do 10 verses last week. He gave me like 30, so I don't know. We'll see how fast we get to that baptism, but no, I promise we'll end on time. But how many of you, I think we'll see all hands raised, how many of you ever had to do something you didn't want to do? How many of you had to do something you didn't want to do like this morning already, before you even got here probably? Yes. And I'm not talking like, I don't want to take down the Christmas lights, or I don't want to fold that laundry kind of stuff, although that does qualify. Taking down the Christmas lights was on my task list for yesterday, and it didn't get done. I'm trying to set a world record because they've been up since December of 23. I managed to make it through the entire year last year, but we're in the process of moving, so they got to come down. So we took the trampoline down instead yesterday. Me and my son tackled the trampoline and got it all apart. It's been up for almost 10 years, so really rusty things and stuff. Anyway, no, I'm talking about the big things, not the little everyday things. Again, those are still important. There's still some of those things we don't want to do, but I'm talking more like the person that you've wronged, and you did something you shouldn't have done. You said something you shouldn't have said, and you're supposed to go to them and ask for their forgiveness, and you don't want to do it. You don't want to have that awkward conversation. You know that you can play it off like, well, they don't even remember. It's been so long ago. And you don't want to do it, but you know you're supposed to. Or maybe that we just talked about giving. Pastor Justin just mentioned that. You should help with a project here at church. Or that there's a missionary that the Lord's been working in your heart, and you're supposed to give sacrificially to them or to the church, and you go, but then I'll have to say no to fill in the blank. That trip I wanted to go on, that thing I wanted to buy. Or there's a conviction that's been stirring in your heart, and you go, I know I'm supposed to make this change. I know I'm supposed to stop doing this habit, whatever it is. And you go, but that's going to cause a huge shift in my life. That's going to make huge change in my life, and I don't want to. These big mountain-type decisions, big decisions. And when in the book of Exodus, we see, again, the context. If you haven't been here the last few weeks, we have Moses, who had been born was a Hebrew, raised briefly by his mom, but then had to go, because they were killing all the Hebrew babies, had to go and went down the river in the basket, was raised in the palace by the princess of Egypt, and raised in royalty, but at 40 years old, rejected that, and in haste, killed an Egyptian slave master, and went into exile out in the wilderness for 40 years. Now he's 80, and when Pastor Kevin preached last week, the first 10 verses of this chapter, the burning bush, again, the most beautiful picture over there, one of the most well-known stories in the whole Bible of God speaking to Moses from the burning bush and telling him, I want you to go back to Egypt. You've been gone for 40 years. You're 80, old man. Still got a lot of years left, we know now, but you need to go back to Egypt. You need to go to Pharaoh. He's like, I don't want to do any of this. We'll find that out today, all the different excuses he ends up making. But let's look for parallels between maybe some of the excuses we make and the excuses that Moses made over 3,000 years ago. So let's jump right in. So again, like I said, God had just spoke to him, says, I want you to go back to Egypt. I want you to go to Pharaoh and say, let my people go. The Lord's telling me, let my people go. And it starts right out in verse 11. But we'll read 11 to 15 right now. But Moses protested to God, who am I to appear before Pharaoh? Who am I to lead the people of Israel out of Egypt? God answered, I will be with you, and this is your sign that I am the one who has sent you. When you have brought the people out of Egypt, you will worship God at this very mountain. But Moses protested, if I go to the people of Israel and tell them the God of your ancestors has sent me to you, they will ask me, what is his name? Then what should I tell them? God replied to Moses, again, out of this burning bush. God replied to Moses, I am who I am. Say this to the people of Israel, I am has sent me to you. God also said to Moses, say this to the people of Israel, Yahweh, the God of your ancestors, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob has sent me to you. This is my eternal name, my name to remember for all generations. We'll pause there. So Moses' first problems. He's got several. His first problems, though. Number one, he says, who am I? Who am I? And it starts out bad right from the beginning. Because Moses, you know what? It's not about you. It's not who am I? That should not be the way this conversation started. Who am I? Yes, God was going to use Moses, and God did use Moses in incredible ways. We call, if you're not familiar, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, the first 5 books of the Bible were written by Moses. He was used in an incredible way. Yes, a faulty man. Yes, a sinful man with flaws, but he was an incredible man. But right now, all he was an instrument in God's hands. That's what he was supposed to do. God was going to be the deliverer of the people, not Moses. Yeah, we can picture Moses on a mountaintop with a staff in his hand. That picture maybe a Bible illustration or a Sunday school classroom or whatever. But it's God that would deliver his people in the book of Exodus, not Moses. Who am I was the wrong way to start that. So a couple things he deals with right now here at the beginning. He felt a lack of ability. That's the who am I? And a lack of authority. Back to 13. He says, if I go to the people of Israel and tell them, they will ask me, what is his name? I don't have any, I'm sorry, I said ability, authority. Who do I say sent me? Who do I say this mission is on behalf of? So again, it's lack of ability and lack of authority. Who am I? And then who do I say sent me? Again, God responds to that first objection of who am I with, I will be with you. The presence of God is the most important thing we need, is the presence of God. God being with us is more important than any lack of ability that we have. And he said, again, he's constantly, we'll see it kind of come back and forth a little bit. He's constantly saying, I'm going to be with you. You're going to succeed. And then Moses doubts more, and that's okay. But then he keeps kind of looping back to, I doubt. God gives me assurance, and I doubt again. He says, down to the point, you're going to come back to this very mountain where you're talking to a burning bush. You're going to come back here not by yourself. You're going to come back here with your people and worship me in this same mountain. It's going to happen. He's telling Moses it's going to happen. You don't need to doubt. You don't need to wonder. It will happen. And then that second objection, the lack of authority, he responds back with his names. His names. What an incredible thought. He says, who am I going to, when I go to the people, who do I say sent me? He says, God replied, verse 14, God replied to Moses, I am who I am. Say this to the people of Israel, I am has sent you to me. And then later on, there's 2 names. So number 1 is I am who I am. Here's my very bad Hebrew is Aya, Asher, Aya. No idea if that's pronounced right. But Aya, your grammar lesson here too, first person common singular, whatever that means, of to be. To be. So it can be used in a very normal sentence like, I am watching the sheep, or I'm walking on the road, or I am his father. Very normal, but when it's used as a standalone description, this I am is the ultimate statement of self-sufficiency, self-existence, and immediate presence. I am here. I have existed forever. God's existence is not contingent upon anyone else. God doesn't rely on, nothing else in this world is like God. Everything else in this world relies on something else for its existence. It was created. God is the creator. Everything else is created. His plans are not contingent upon any circumstances. He promises that he will be what he will be. He is the eternally constant God. And then lastly, when God identified himself as I am who I am, he stated that no matter when or where, he's there. Eternity past, God is there. Eternity future, God is there. Right today, right here, God is there. The only thing unique in this world, God is there. Because everything else had a beginning date. It was created. But God is eternal existence. I am who I am. When they wonder, tell them, I am has sent you. We have that same I am with us today. And then secondly, he says, you can also say that Yahweh, verse 15, God also said to Moses, say this to the people of Israel, Yahweh, the God of the people of Israel, Yahweh, the God of your ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob has sent me to you. And that says, that's my eternal name. Yahweh was a name for God so revered that the Jewish people would not say it out loud. They would read it in their Bible, but when they, instead of saying Yahweh, they would say Lord or Adonai, because it was so revered, this eternal name for God. Again, it's serving as a reminder to the people, you remember him. You remember this God that's been with us since the beginning. He has sent me to you. That's who sent me. You don't need to wonder, Moses. You don't need to doubt. Moses, you've got my authority. I'm calling you to go. Now, we're going to get to some more excuses in a minute, but there's kind of like a little break in the middle. In verse 16, I called his marching orders. Like, Moses, what are you supposed to do next? And some of this he already knew. I'll just read 16, long passage, 16 to 22. Now go and call together all the elders of Israel. Tell them, Yahweh, the God of your ancestors, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, has appeared to me. He told me, I have been watching closely, and I see how the Egyptians are treating you. God's watching. God knows. I have promised to rescue you from your oppression in Egypt. I will lead you to a land flowing with milk and honey, the land where the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites now live. Here's an important thing. Verse 18. The elders of Israel will accept your message. All this doubt. Hey, Moses, the people will listen to you. You don't need to doubt. He has assurance before he even steps foot towards Egypt. He knows, because God told him, that it's going to work. The people will listen to you. The elders of Israel will accept your message. Then you and the elders must go to the king of Egypt and tell him, the Lord, the God of the Hebrews, has met with us. So please let us take a 3-day journey into the wilderness to offer sacrifices to the Lord our God. Let us go off a 3 days journey. We'll offer sacrifices. That's kind of like step one. But I know that the king of Egypt will not let you go unless a mighty hand forces him. So as much as God just gave him assurance that the Israelites would listen to him, he tells them up front, hey, by the way, Pharaoh's not going to listen to you. That part of your mission is going to fail, but not fail because it's part of my plan. It's not going to work because Pharaoh has a hard heart. We'll see that as you continue to read through Exodus, you'll see his hard heart over and over and over again. But God knew exactly what was going to happen. By the way, the Israelites will listen to you. Pharaoh will not listen to you unless as it says, unless a mighty hand forces him. Well, who's got a mighty hand? God has a mighty hand. And we'll see that in the upcoming chapters. And I believe probably most of us know the story of the plagues. That's the mighty hand of God going, Pharaoh, you will listen. Pharaoh, you will listen. I'm going to keep doing this until you listen, Pharaoh, until you let my people go. And we know it took all the way to that 10th plague, the most horrible plague at the end, for Pharaoh to listen. And then continues on. So I'll raise my hand and strike the Egyptians, performing all kinds of miracles among them. Then at last he will let you go. Hey, Moses, it's going to work. Again, assurance after assurance. Moses, you don't need to doubt. Moses, you don't need to share excuses. It will work. He will let you go. And I will cause, not only that, that's not it. Wait, that's not all. And I will cause the Egyptians to look favorably on you. Verse 21. They will give you gifts when you go, so you will not leave empty-handed. Every Israelite woman will ask for articles of silver and gold and fine clothing from her Egyptian neighbors and from the foreign women in their houses. You will dress your sons and daughters with these, stripping the Egyptians of their wealth. Not only will you get to leave your years, centuries of slavery, they're going to give you gold, silver, and fine clothes as you leave. Like, I'm going to bless you. They will bless you. These Egyptian slaveholding neighbors will bless you. It's going to work. So again, that's like his instructions, and all this assurance from God, it's going to work, it's going to work, it's going to work. Here's how it's going to work. What does Moses do? He still doubts. Let's move on to chapter 4, verse 1. I call that, I'm way behind on my PowerPoint. I am who I am, Yahweh, sorry. What if? Here we go. What if? That's how I begin. I'll call that chapter 4. But Moses protested again. What if they won't believe me or listen to me? What if they say, the Lord never appeared to you? Stop there. Still more doubts. What if they don't listen? What if they say, this is all made up? God didn't really appear to you. What if? What if? The problem with that is God already told them they would listen. If we go back to verse 18, the elders of Israel will accept your message. He's doubting God. Right? God just showed him, here's how it's going to work. They will listen to you. Then the Egyptians won't listen to you. Then I'm going to do a whole bunch of miracles, plagues, and then Pharaoh will finally listen to you. All this assurance, and Moses still responds, but what if they don't listen? It's all this doubt that leads to excuses. What if they don't believe my story? Do we ever doubt things that God has told us? God tells us so much in his word, and we doubt. Just as a few examples, I will never leave you nor forsake you. And then you go, yeah, but I feel all alone right now. God told us we're not alone. Take heart, I have overcome the world. We go, yeah, I feel defeated in life. I feel like Christians are just always losing out. We're always in the short end. No, God said, I have overcome the world. My grace is sufficient for you. God, I don't know if I have what it takes to make it through this day, this week, this month, this situation, this period of my life. My grace is sufficient for you. You have what you need. We have what we need. And we doubt what God's already told us. And again, great illustrations of God just going, Moses, you're going to get it eventually. I'm going to keep working on you until you get it. God's got some object lessons ready for Moses. Verse 2, the Lord asked him, what is that in your hand? Well, Moses was a shepherd. It's a shepherd's staff, Moses replied. Throw it down on the ground, the Lord told him. So Moses threw down the staff, and it turned into a snake. Moses jumped back. I love it. It's very descriptive. What would you do if you threw a stick at the ground and it turned into a snake before your eyes? Not a toy snake, not a rubber snake, but an actual living, hissing snake. You would jump back too. I'm pretty sure even if you like snakes, it would be a bit of a shock. And God's like, I am the boss here. I can do what I'm going to do. Throw it on the ground, turns into a snake. Verse 4, then the Lord told him, reach out and grab its tail. Hey, you're not supposed to grab a snake by the tail, in case you're wondering. But God had it. So Moses reached out and grabbed it, and it turned back into a shepherd's staff in his hand. I mean, this probably took all of 5-10 seconds. But what a great illustration of, I control everything down to the material. This was not an illusion. The magicians later on in Egypt, later on in the book of Exodus, they replicated it using magic tricks, using sleight of hand or something. They could copy some of God's miracles. No, this was God turning the molecules of a stick into the molecules of a snake, a living, breathing snake, and then right back instantly. God's like, I control the universe. Verse 5, perform this sign, the Lord told him. Then they will believe that the Lord, the God of their ancestors, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob really has appeared to you. If you do this for them, and he would later on. Verse 6, then the Lord said to Moses, now put your hand inside your cloak. So he's got like an overcoat kind of thing on, puts his hand inside your cloak, pulls it out, and when he took it out again, his hand was white as snow with a severe skin disease. Some Bible translations say leprosy. It's not known what exactly disease, because apparently what sometimes the Bible says leprosy is not what we think of as a more modern leprosy. But either way, a very bad, contagious disease. Severe, it says. Not just like I got a little rash or a scratch. A severe skin disease on his hand. Instantly, put it in, pull it out, and it's white with this horrible disease, infection. Now, put your hand back in your cloak, the Lord said. So Moses put his hand back in, and when he took it out, it was as healthy as the rest of his body. Again, God's like, I can take the molecules of your hand, not just make them change color, but actually give you a disease like that, and then instantly take it away from you, just as fast. I am in control. Verse 8, the Lord said to Moses, if they do not believe you and are not convinced by the first miraculous sign, they will be convinced by the second sign. And if they don't, verse 9, if they don't believe you or listen to you, even after these two signs, then take some water from the Nile River and pour it out onto the dry ground. When you do, the water from the Nile will turn to blood on the ground. Again, instantaneously, when you get there, because right now he's not at the Nile, but when you get there, take some water out of the Nile, scoop it up in a bowl or whatever, toss it into the dirt, and it'll become blood. And God can change. It's not, it's a little food coloring added to water. No, it's blood. Take the water, scoop it out, and dump it and it will instantly become blood. These object lessons, as incredible as they are, and again, you could kind of like, well, what a cool, I actually even thought as I'm preparing for this, I'm like, I should call my friend Dave. He's a magician friend of mine. He's a pastor back in Michigan. I bet he could show me maybe I could do a magic trick for the church this morning. But, yeah, I didn't get that far. This is not a magic trick. This is real. And each of these were especially symbolic to the Egyptians. The snake was a symbol of power and life. You know who's in charge of that? God is in charge of that power and life. Leprosy, this disease, was apparently kind of rampant across Egypt. It was incurable. That's why similar to leprosy that was incurable. They viewed the Nile as the source of all life because that water really was the source of, all their agriculture is like within a mile of the Nile River. The rest is desert. It's where we get our life from. It's where we get all of our water for agriculture and for animals to eat and for our plants to grow. God's like, I have control over all these. If I want to turn this entire river into blood, I can't, and I will later on, we know. God is telling him over and over again, Moses, you don't need to keep throwing these excuses because I can bounce everyone back to you. Where, hey, Moses, your excuse is lame. Your excuse doesn't work because I'm in control of all this. He's got one more, though. Moses ain't done yet. Verse 10, but Moses pleaded with the Lord, oh God, I'm not very good with words. I can't speak well. I'm not very good with words. I never have been, and I'm not now. Even though you have spoken to me, I get tongue-tied, and my words get tangled. Okay? That's my excuse. I don't talk well. I don't speak well. Maybe I get nervous, and I get, some people think it was like actual speech impediment. Some people think it's just he got nervous in front of a crowd, and, people stumble through. Everybody does it. Even people that speak all the time. Tumble your words around a little bit, say things in the wrong order, get confusing, stutter, lots of things. But God's got a response for that as well. Verse 11, then the Lord asked Moses, who made a person's mouth? Who decides whether people speak or do not speak, hear or do not hear, see or do not see? Is it not I, the Lord? Now go. I will be with you as you speak, and I will instruct you in what to say. So God's got a couple responses. Number one, who made your mouth? If I want you to talk, I will put the words in your mouth that I want you to say. You don't have to wonder. You don't have to doubt. You might be the worst public speaker in the world, but I will give you the words to say. I will even make your mouth move up and down at the right time like a puppet, if that's what it takes. But Moses, I will be with you. I made your mouth. I'm in charge of it. I will be with you. I will tell you what to say. I will instruct you in what to say, he says. Moses is like, how about plan B? How about plan B? Verse 13. But Moses again pleaded, Lord, please send anyone else. He's been standing before God at the burning bush. His shoes are off. I'm standing on holy ground, speaking to the one true God, the creator of the entire world. Given a very special, I could get being nervous to go before Pharaoh, but given a very special mission, and he just goes, can you just send anybody else? Just, pull another name from the hat. Pick somebody else. Please send anyone else. Verse 14. Then the Lord became angry with Moses. Then, after all that, I've been angry a whole lot sooner. Then the Lord became angry with Moses. All right, he said. What about your brother Aaron, the Levite? I know he speaks well. And look, he is on his way to meet you now. He will be delighted to see you. Talk to him and put the words in his mouth. I will be with both of you as you speak, and I will instruct you both on what to say. Aaron will be your spokesman to the people. He will be your mouthpiece, and you will stand in the place of God for him, telling him what to say. And take your shepherd's staff with you, and use it to perform the miraculous signs I have shown you. So he says, take Aaron, your brother. Take Aaron, your brother. Fine. You don't want to do it. You're going to keep throwing excuses my way, even though I keep kind of countering every one of them. Fine. Take Aaron, your brother. And in thinking this passage through, one thing I hadn't really thought of, I've heard this story my whole life. He hadn't seen his brother in 40 years. In my mind, I'm like, he's out in the wilderness of Midian, where he'd been living for 40 years. He had not, as far as we could tell, he had no interaction. He'd been kind of in exile for this whole 40 years. But God knows, again, God's in charge. He knew that Aaron, for some reason, was heading in the direction of Midian at that moment. He hadn't seen his brother in 40 years, but he's going to go and tell him, hey, I got a story for you. I just talked to God in the burning bush, and he told me, and Aaron, for some reason, is going to listen to him. Again, God already said the elders of Israel will listen to you. And that includes Aaron as an elder, but Aaron would also listen to him. And it says, Just like I was going to put words in your mouth, now you're going to be putting words in Aaron's mouth. I'm talking this passage through with my wife yesterday. Again, just little things you don't notice. This is verse 16. You will stand in the place of God for him. Just like I am God to you, Moses, you're actually going to stand in the place of God. You're going to take my spot to Aaron. You're going to be the one to tell Aaron everything he needs to say. You're going to be like God to Aaron. And again, in studying this, I was reading a book about Moses. And it brought up something interesting I hadn't thought of. God said, fine, you want Aaron? Or you don't want to go? You don't want to do this? Fine, you're going to have Aaron. But I didn't think about that. Now you're stuck with Aaron. Because what happened? Aaron doubted. When Moses was up on the mountain, Aaron was wondering. Aaron was the one to melt the gold down and make the golden calf. You want him? Fine, but you're stuck with him. He's going to be a rock around your neck, a millstone around your neck. You're going to be stuck with him. You're going to have to deal with it. It's going to cause conflict. It's going to cause issues. But I'll give you what you want. Fine, Moses. It doesn't have to be you. As we wrap up, a couple things we want to think about. Let's go back to some of those questions, those issues I brought up at the beginning, those hard things we don't want to do. Let's take the example of going to someone that we need to ask for forgiveness. We wronged them in some way. We go, I don't know, I don't really want to. We know according to the word of God that we're supposed to. We're supposed to go to people that we've wronged and ask for their forgiveness. We say things like, it's too hard. It's too hard. I can't do it. God, why bring it up? It's been so long. It's just going to open up an old wound. They've probably forgotten it. They've probably moved on. God can't really expect me to go to them. It's no big deal. But in our heart, we know we're making excuses. And I wrote this sermon. I made this, the PowerPoint notes to send to Kevin. A little late yesterday. But even after I sent them to you, know what happened? I was making excuses to my wife. I was trying to downplay something wrong I had done. This is real life. And God says, don't make these excuses. Don't do it. Don't make these excuses. They're just excuses. It's not too hard. We should bring it up. We should resolve that. We should heal that wound. Yes, you have to sometimes open up an old wound to heal it. But let's heal that old wound. God can really expect you to go to them. Again, let's go through Moses' excuses and kind of compare them to this issue. So number one, Moses said, who am I? Again, it's not about us. That situation, that person we need to go to ask for their forgiveness, it's not about us. It's not about anything. It's about I need to make things right for the honor and glory of God. For the health of that relationship, I need to make things right. It's not about me being comfortable or my personality or any of that. It's about doing things for the honor and glory of God. Number two, he said, who do I say sent me? The same God who gave Moses these instructions over 3,000 years ago is the same God who is working in our hearts telling us to go to that friend. It's the same God. It's the same word of God that gives us the instructions where we see that we need to go to people and ask for forgiveness when we've wronged them. That's who sent us. If someone says, why? I kind of have forgotten about that. I mean, I appreciate you asking for my forgiveness, but why? After 10, 15, 20 years, why are you coming to me and asking for my forgiveness? We say, because God told me to. God. The God who gave us the word of God. The God who has worked in my life. The God who saved me. We talked about sharing your testimony. That's an amazing testimony. The same God who created the universe. The God who saved me, that rescued me from a life of sin, told me to come to you and ask for your forgiveness. Number three, what if they don't believe my story? In our illustration, what if they don't believe my apology? What if they don't want to hear from me? What if they don't even have a conversation with me? That's just an excuse, because you know what? I can't control what they do. I can't control if they want to hear from me. I can't control if they listen to me. I can't control if they slam the door in my face. All I can do is be obedient. That's all I can do. The Bible, I don't know the reference, but as much as is possible with you, be at peace with all men. I'll do my part. I will go and ask for forgiveness. I can't make anybody accept my asking for forgiveness. It's not our job to make them listen. We simply have to obey. That's just an excuse. And lastly, I can't speak well. God would have equipped Moses. God would have used a string and moved his jaw up and down like a puppet if that's what it took. God will give us the words to say. God will equip us to do what he calls us to do. Just as God made Moses' mouth and would help him to communicate well, he also made our mouths. He will give us the words to say. Will we be perfect? No, and Moses wouldn't have been perfect too. He would have stumbled. He would have said something wrong, but he would have gotten the message out that God wanted him to get out. God will help us to do the same thing. Those awkward conversations that we need to have. And if you're a parent, you know a big part of parenting is having awkward conversations with especially when they get to teenage years. God will equip us to do what he's called us to do. He'll help us make it through those things. He'll help us say the right things in the right way. As we conclude, the Christian life, as I was thinking this through, I was thinking how to wrap this up. It seems like a contradiction to me at times because we need to choose to obey God. Like it's an act of our will to say, I am going to do what God's called us to do. But at the same time, it's him doing the work in us. It's him doing the work through us. But we have to take that first step. We have to say, I will obey. It was Moses going, I will do what you've called me to do, God, instead of just making excuse after excuse after excuse. If I try to do things in my own strength, I will fail. I will mess up. I will do the wrong thing. But we still take that first step of going, God, I will obey you. My flaws and all, my faults and all, I will obey. And Moses did a lot of things right. I don't want this to be like, just shaming Moses over and over again. But in this spot, he did not do very well. He had a lot of good moments to come. Moses' excuses showed several ways where he was trusting in his weaknesses instead of trusting in God. He was trusting in his insecurities more than he was trusting the eternal, all-sufficient, I am who I am God, Yahweh, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But God, I don't talk well. Such a small thing compared to God. God, keep us from doing the same thing in our lives. Help us to believe, God, that you will prepare and equip us for the tasks that you call us to perform. Let's pray. God, we thank you for this passage. We thank you for the example in this whole series of chapters of, God, you having a plan to rescue your people, to bring them out of slavery, to bring them out of bondage. You always keep your promises. You made that promise that they would go to the promised land hundreds of years earlier to Abraham, that you had a land prepared for Abraham and the people of God, and you were following through on that promise using a very flawed, faulty man named Moses. God, help us to obey in spite of our fear, in spite of our insecurities, that we would just lean in and obey. We wouldn't make excuses. We wouldn't try to pass it off to somebody else like he was just God send anybody else. We'd say, no, God, you've called me. You've equipped me. I will go. Nerves and all, flaws and all, God, I will go. I will do what you've called me to do instead of trying to pass it off to somebody else or just make excuses. God, help us to do what you've called us to do, to be who you've called us to be for your honor and your glory. We pray this in your name. Amen.